In this lesson, we're going to be going over the YouTube analytics that are the most important to focus on and which analytics you need to look at when it comes to growing your channel. I'm going to show you the most important ones within this lesson, and specifically what we're going to be going over is what the YouTube algorithm truly cares about, and I'm going to rank what the YouTube algorithm cares about in order of importance. So you know this analytic is the most important, this is the next most important, and so on. And that way you can prioritize things in the correct order. I'm going to show you the most important analytics to look at, and we're going to deep dive into those most important analytics and what they actually mean for your channel. And I'm going to show you how to know if you're doing good. So here are the most important analytics on YouTube ranked in order of importance. And the number one most important analytic, most people have no idea that this analytic even exists, but the most important one is session time. This is how long that people spend on YouTube after watching one of your videos. Now, the thing about session time that makes it so confusing, and the reason why most people don't even know it exists, is because YouTube doesn't even publicly show you this statistic. So you might be saying, Matt, how am I going to optimize my videos based off of it? Well, there's actually a couple ways we can do that. But this is the reason most people don't know it exists, because YouTube doesn't publicly show it within analytics or anywhere else. Yet it's the most important. And how do I know it's the most important? Well, number one, when I've implemented similar metadata, which in turn got people watching a video after another video after another video, my videos took off incredibly well. And number two, YouTube has publicly stated that the most important factor on YouTube is how long creators keep people on the platform. And here's the thing that trips everybody up. They think how long people spend on my videos. No, it's how long people spend on YouTube in total. So it could even be watching other videos on the platform. As long as people are on the platform, YouTube is making money, and YouTube is going to reward videos that people start their session with and that stay on YouTube for. So session time is the most important statistic on YouTube. Followed very closely by number two, which is watch time. And this is the amount of time that people spend watching your video specifically. So as opposed to session time is time spent on YouTube as a whole, their session length on YouTube. Watch time is how long they spend on your individual video. And YouTube will show you this statistic. This is something we can actually look at. And number three is going to be audience retention. And audience retention is shown either as a duration, a length of time, which is generally known as AVD, or average viewer duration, which is shown in time, where audience retention is typically shown as a percentage of the video. Now, when it comes to audience retention, it's going to be relative. So meaning if you have a 10-minute video and somebody watches, for example, say 5 minutes of that video, that's 50% audience retention. Whereas if you have a 5-minute video and they watch 5 minutes of the video, that's 100% audience retention. So it's relative to the video. And YouTube takes that into account. Videos at every length can go viral, which is why my recommendation is to always just model what's worked in terms of video length. If most people within your niche are pumping out 7 to 10 minute videos, that's going to be the length you want to go for in the beginning. You can do incredibly well with that length. So number three is audience retention. And number four is going to be click-through rate. None of these statistics above right here matter if people don't even click your video to begin with. And click-through rate is the percentage of people who see one of your videos, they're an impression on one of your videos, whether it's showing up in search results or in browse features or on the homepage of YouTube or anywhere else. They see your video showing up with the thumbnail and the title, and the percentage that click to watch your video then are going to be your click-through rate. And you want all of these numbers right here to be as high as possible. And this is why I kind of treat YouTube as a game. It's like a video game, right? You can pull certain levers to increase each of these statistics that I'm going to be showing you how to do, and you can go viral as a result. So views, comments, and likes, all of these statistics right here share something in common. You know what these share? The fact that they hardly matter at all. These are mostly vanity metrics. Obviously, it's amazing to see millions of views and to see tons of people commenting on your video and thousands of likes, but here's the truth. I've had videos with barely any view velocity, nobody's watching the video. I've had videos with super negative comments, if there were any. I've had videos that have gotten disliked 80+% of the time, but they still have gone on to do incredibly well and over time gotten millions of views. due to the fact that they hit the most important statistics shown here. So these are the most important when it comes to going viral on YouTube. And as a result, you may get some of these vanity metrics as well. Obviously, it's really nice to get views, but the reason I'm calling it a vanity metric is because just because a video has a ton of views doesn't mean it will necessarily continue to get a ton of views, if that makes any sense. So none of these things matter as much as the first statistics that we went over. Now, the most important analytics to look at, because YouTube will show some of these analytics that we've mentioned within the Creator Studio, are as follows. Number one, impressions. Now, impressions are how many people see your video in search results or in browse features or anywhere else on YouTube that your videos are showing up. They see the thumbnail and the title. That's how many people see it. The next most important analytic to look at is your content tab. And within your content tab, you're going to see a couple key statistics that are very important. In fact, I think they're so important that I'm going to actually jump into my content tab right here. So in order to get there, all you have to do is go to YouTube and then go down here to your analytics right here. And from here, then go to content. And the reason this is so important to look at is because it gives you a couple very key statistics that are incredibly important. Number one, it'll show you your audience retention on individual videos. And it'll show you a graph of that retention. And you can even sort it by spikes and dips, so you can see at certain points. Right here, for example, within this video, the audience retention spiked, which means that more people were watching on average at that point. And if you look, for example, at dips, people clicked off of the video at this point right here, and at this point, we want to make a note to not do those things going forward into the future. And that ties into that documenting this data so that you can optimize future videos on your channel. That's basically how that works. But within this content tab, you also have your how people are finding your channel. You have the top videos on your channel. But most importantly, we're going to be looking at our impressions to click-through rate, our total impressions right here. And then also, we'll be wanting to look at our audience retention graphs. Those are the most important things that we will want to look at right there. Now, the analytic we mentioned before this was impressions itself, and that will be found within the content tab as well. So going on over here to the next most important, which is going to be audience retention graphs. And like I said, you can view those for individual videos either here, or you can also just go to content and then go down here to analytics. You can just click this little analytics button on any of your individual videos. And then you can jump on over here to engagement, I believe. And then right here, it'll show you your audience retention graphs. So you can see our audience retention spiked right there. So we'd want to note what we did at that point and then implement that on future videos. Like let's say, for example, every time we jump into a new subject, like for example, in this video, we're going over the 3 ways of making passive income. Let's say every single time we revealed a new way, the audience retention spiked, which is typically the case. What we can do is instead of making a top 3 video going forward, we can make a top 30 video showing the top 30 ways of making passive income, for example, and then we'd have a lot of those spikes throughout the video, keeping people's attention throughout the video. And usually when there's a spike as well, it means that people are rewinding to rewatch that part, typically because that part gave a lot of value. So we want to make a note at what is giving people a lot of value, and this is a great way of doing that. And we want to see where people drop off as well, but yeah, you can always view all of these statistics for individual videos as well, is basically what I wanted to say there. And then click-through rate, also incredibly important. Right there, you can find that for individual videos. Again, if you just click analytics and then you go to reach, I believe. Yep, you can see your impressions to click-through rate. And over time, you're going to be wanting to document what your channel average click-through rate is, and I'll show you how to do that. So if you go to your analytics as a whole, and then go to the lifetime of your channel, and then go to content, what you'll see is it'll show you your click-through rate overall for your channel. As you can see, my channel average click-through rate on this Make Money Matt channel is 5.9%. So what does this tell me? It tells me that any time that I have a video get a higher than 5.9% click-through rate, that's a huge indicator that it's doing better than average, and we want to keep modeling what has worked there. And let me show you how you can practically model what's worked as well in terms of click-through rate. What you want to do is click this little button that says See More. And when you click that, it'll bring up a ton of more advanced statistics that you can look at. And then what you want to do is click Content, I believe. And just wait for that to load here. and then scroll down, and you can actually sort all of your videos by their impressions to click-through rate. So as you can see which videos have the highest click-through rate on my channel. And what it also shows you is your average view duration, and you can see which videos have the highest average view duration. And the reason YouTube shows these statistics is because they're so important. There's a reason they're showing you this. It's not just like, oh, this is interesting to look at. No, this is actually important to the performance of your channel. And when you're looking anytime at click-through rate, especially, you always want to take into consideration the amount of impressions that the video has. For example, this video right here has a 23% click-through rate. And you might be saying, Matt, that's so insane. Like, you should make all of your thumbnails that look exactly like that since it has 23%. Not necessarily, due to the fact that this video only has 36,000 impressions, because click-through rate is relative to the amount of impressions that you get. So the higher the impressions get, the more of a broad audience that YouTube is pushing your content out to. So you want to compare videos' click-through rates to other similar videos in terms of the amount of impressions that videos have had. So for example, you'd compare a 2 million impression video to a 2 million impression video, and so on. And that's why it's so important to get as many videos as you possibly can onto YouTube, because it's going to give you this data. That's why we want to just speedrun getting as many videos as we can on YouTube, and as many good videos as we can as well. So over time then, you will start to build up this data. As you can see the individual impression rates on any of these videos right here, and then you can see the click-through rates right here. So if we're looking at 23% click-through rate compared to a 36K impression video, right? And this will also be relative to who YouTube is serving this content to. Maybe it's showing up on the homepage of like my channel, for example, and if people are clicking from there, then it's going to be a lot different than if it's showing up, for example, in suggested videos. So that's another thing to take into consideration. But I typically just look at the amount of impressions individual videos have, and then the impressions, the click-through rate from that. So anything over my channel average right here is incredibly good. These are amazing thumbnails. This right here is an incredibly good thumbnail because it got an 8% click-through rate with 13 million impressions. That is absurdly high. That's higher than my channel average, and it got pushed out super broad to a huge audience, some of which may not even be too interested in this subject, yet it's still got that high of a click-through rate. So that tells you something. That tells you this pose, and as you can see, this pose, for example, is repeating in multiple different thumbnails. That's something you might want to repeat. That's what that tells you right there. So going from here then, that's click-through rate. You also have traffic sources. So initially in the beginning of your channel, you're typically going to see YouTube search be your highest traffic source due to the fact that we're implementing similar metadata and trying to rank our videos based off of keywords that have a high amount of search volume and a low amount of competition. So you'll typically see YouTube search high in the beginning, but then over time that will typically shift to browse features being bigger and to suggested videos being bigger. When you can get into the suggested video feed, that's when videos, at least I've seen, have gotten millions, if not tens of millions of views. And another very important analytic to look at is other videos your audience watch, and here's how you can get to there within your analytics. If we close out of here and go to audience, the audience tab right here, scroll down, you can see what your audience watches. And this will give you amazing data as to other videos you can create. Now this tab will only appear once your channel's pretty big. Once you have like a couple thousand subscribers, this tab will appear, and then you can basically just get incredibly great video ideas for your channel from here, and you can essentially model these and make your own versions of these. And because they're typically very likely to do well due to the fact that it's doing well on all of your competitors' channels. So that definitely tells you something. And here's how to determine if you're succeeding with this. Because it's one thing to talk about this, how do you actually know if you're doing good? You might be saying, what click-through rate should I look at? What average view durations? Well, the first and foremost thing that I need to mention is that this is all relative to your channel. So you always just want to be doing better than your channel has done in the past. But typically for most niches, because every niche is different, every channel is different, but typically, if you're hitting 60% average view durations on a 10-minute video, meaning you're getting 6 minutes of watch time and a 6+% click-through rate, you're likely to do incredibly well on YouTube. Those are the statistics that you're likely to blow up your channel with. And this is in most niches, whether it's entertainment or education. There's some niches where the average is even higher than that, and really, clickbaity niches and everything, and really entertainment-focused niches. But for most niches on YouTube, if you're hitting higher than these statistics right here, you're likely to do very good. But like I mentioned, it's always best to just compare to your channel average. So let's say your channel average is 40%, average watch time is 4 minutes, average CTR is 5%. Just try to do better than that on all your videos. But the first and foremost thing that you always need to remember is that it's always an incredibly good idea to model what works in the beginning of your channel. Don't just be guessing with this, model what works so that you can get these statistics as high as possible with your first batch of videos. So that's basically it. In the next lesson, I'm going to be showing you the science behind going viral. Hope you got value, and I will see you there.